Can you go through the Bribe acronym again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So Bribe is begin powerfully, and begin powerfully is a number of elements to it. So you're looking at getting people's attention. You're also looking at being clear, previewing where your ideas and arguments are going. And then the R is about reinforcing ideas. So looking at where you can introduce themes, you can repeat stuff either by visually with your slide deck, or you can introduce, repeated ideas, or on your slide deck, you can also have a little kind of phrase that captures a theme. Themes are really brilliant because they pull content together that's otherwise quite diverse. And then I is involve your audience, connect to them, use stories, use the language, use ideas that relate to them. And then B is about being bold, just, every now and then, just doing it a little differently. And then end powerfully. Obviously, the end, when it comes to the primacy and recency effect, that's when people are listening most. That's when they're totally alert. So use the end to recall your key information, but also to have a call to action, some kind of other thing that you want your audience to do. I hope that's a bit clearer.
Great. I don't know if you can see the question from Jacqui Harper. I can read it out if that helps.
How far down? I can't.
Towards the top. So.
Oh, okay. So let's have a look.
It's got a Q next to it as well.
Okay, got Grace. Is it above Grace? Grace Ola?
No, below Grace.
Okay. Jacqueline. Right. Okay. Gotcha. There's a few there. So do you think about the types of listeners, i.e. the analytical person who needs to see data? Oh, this is a great question. The compassion person who needs to see anecdotes, a reflective one who needs time to digest. Do you think about the types of receivers as we are not all homogenous? That's a fantastic point to make. We are all very different. We are introverts, we're extroverts, we're ambiverts. We like information in different ways. And I think the whole idea of making your information appeal, universal. You can't just do one thing that works for all people. So that's why I say the logic and the emotion go together, because some people really need that data. They need the numbers. They need to see the form and the model. But the emotion side, some people need to have, a sort of more emotional connection to a point or an idea. So for me, it's the two things on that slide about logic and emotion. Great question. Thank you, Jacqueline. Right, so do we other questions? We've gone through Bribe.
Scroll up to sorry. She's got a question. This will be recorded for everybody, just as an FYI.
Okay, yeah. Okay. How do you bring presence when there is nothing to talk about, for example, in team meetings? So what I'm thinking there, when there's nothing to talk about, I guess your presence online is challenging because it's only when you are speaking, only when you're in vision that really you have that chance to have your presence. So that's when you need to make the most, and that's when you need to make your impact. When you're speaking, the voice needs to be strong, the whole body language, the whole presence, whenever you have that moment. And I would also encourage you to be proactive, to get yourself visible, in these meetings. It's very difficult sometimes when it's chaotic, but seek those opportunities out, because ultimately that will help with the visibility and hopefully the opportunities to progress your career. Does that help? How do you maintain? Oh, so another one from Kyle. How do you maintain and stay true to your own authenticity when trying to gain visibility in an environment? Oh, I've lost her. So how do you stay true? It's an issue around visibility. I've lost the question, just disappeared. For me, authenticity is really at the heart of presence, and which is why I think the longer process that I go through when I'm teaching students is to really start to look at yourself, look at your own story, and look at your own patterns, and really get to know yourself a bit more before you get to those 3 words. Because being authentic, I think, is at the heart of of really strong communication and strong presence, because people feel real. We talked about Michelle Obama being someone that we can connect to. She seems authentic, and that's because her presence is kind of unvarnished at the same time as she's being very professional and very successful. There's something real about it that we can actually connect to, and that's the point of authenticity. Right.
I think if you scroll up, there's a couple more questions at the top.
Let's have a little look at the top. Go up. Go through. Team. So it's difficult to judge engagement online. Oh, tell me, this is a great one. What tips would you give to ensure it's inclusive? It's very challenging. If you are running the meeting, it's probably easier to manage the interconnection with the other people participating. If you're not running the meeting, it's not so easy for you to get a sense of the engagement. But I think the technology allows you to do emotions, to do the chat box. There are ways to interact, and just checking in, how people are doing, what have we covered so far, what have we agreed so far in a meeting. Just giving people an opportunity to say, and people that are quiet, inviting them if they wish to speak. Sometimes if that's an introverted person and you put them on the spot, they might be more uncomfortable, so you have to manage how you do that. But making sure that you go around each individual if they want to speak, giving them an opportunity to add their point. Those are the sorts of things I would do to try and make it inclusive, and also to let, after the meeting, allow people who perhaps are more introverted to contribute any points or any thoughts. So it's not just what takes place in the online meeting, but people who like to reflect and think about things a little longer do have the opportunity to share their ideas.
Great. Can you go up to the next question? We'll take the next question from Pius.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, got it. So how do you approach meetings that are massively impromptu? Ooh, and how do you still project yourself powerfully? Well, it's things like the little presentation pyramid. What's my point? What am I really trying to say? How do I need to explain this and illustrate the points that I'm saying? So have little tools that you can just drill in. And I think when you have to do something impromptu, I think you have to be easy on yourself, or easier on yourself, and just be realistic about what you can say. If the idea is, a pack of 3, maybe 3 points, and each of those points, if you can manage to illustrate those points with supporting points, but just contain a framework that is realistic in terms of what you can do. A good thing also is to do a quick brainstorm to just clarify your thinking, because sometimes when you get these impromptu requests, it's just like, oh, what do I really think? And just give yourself an opportunity to process. I use mind maps all the time, and just go all over the place for about 60 seconds and then start tidying that up into key points that I want to make. So those are some of the things that I would do for impromptu meetings. How are we doing for time, Dennis?
I think we have just gone over, unfortunately.
Okay.
But if people wanted to get in touch with yourself, how would they go about doing that? What's the best way to reach out to you if they have any more questions? Or
yeah, sure. I'd love to hear from people. LinkedIn is probably, just go straight there. My email address is on there. Just contact me. I have just written, actually, I forgot to mention, I've just written a blog on using television techniques in online meetings, in virtual meetings. I finished it on Friday. If people are interested in that, I'm happy to send that. So just email me and let me know. I'll send that off straight away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time. That's the end of this session.